With me now, Ashley Pratt-Oates, NBC Think contributor and political commentator, and Shaniqua McClendon, head of Vote Save America. Welcome to both of you. Shaniqua, why are they willing to defend Trump on this? I mean, we even had Lindsey Graham this morning say he would, I think, encourage Trump to focus on policy and not these personal attacks. But not everyone is getting that message.
Sorry, they don't have anything else to talk about. I think we always knew, or something I always knew, as soon as Kamala Harris became the Democratic nominee, Trump would not be able to help himself. He was going to go after her race and gender, and he's done that. And, you know, part of his reason for doing that is to convey to the world that she's unqualified in some way. You've had Republicans saying she's a DEI vice president. And again, they are trying to say she's unqualified. But that's because their candidate is unqualified. Donald Trump stumbled into the presidency. He inherited money from his father to start his real estate business, which he didn't do well in, but has continued to tell us he's like a real estate mogul. And then he had his show, The Apprentice, and he just had Omarosa on saying that those ratings fell and that show got canceled. And then he stumbled into the presidency with no experience in public service. The same can be said for J.D. Vance, who has been in the Senate for not even 2 years and is his vice president. But they don't want us to focus on the fact that they're unqualified. So they're pointing to the vice president's race and gender to distract people, but I think people see through it.
And can I ask you quickly, when you hear Byron Donalds saying things like, oh, she claimed to be the first Indian American senator, can't she be both Indian American and Black? Because, yeah, she is.
Yeah, you know, he frustrates me generally, but as a Black person living in this country, especially given our history, I think every Black person in this country has someone in their family who's mixed race. And so to pretend they don't understand that you can be both Indian and Black is just, you know, Byron Donald is trying to, I guess, curry favor with Donald Trump and willing to sacrifice his intelligence on national television to do that.
Okay. Ashley, I want to play a clip of how Harris responded to Trump's attacks at the conference, as well as him ditching the planned debate in September. Take a listen.
Well, Donald, I do hope you'll reconsider to meet me on the debate stage. Because as the saying goes, if you've got something to say,
what does it mean for the Harris campaign, to have this kind of energy, what we just saw right there? Do you think she's going to be successful in baiting Trump?
Yes, I do. And I think it's working in the sense that he will not show up for the debate that he said he would be at. And also, if you look at this new poll that came out from CBS today, what you're also seeing is his campaign now refuting that polling, saying that it was fake news, it's phony, the demographics were wrong, because she's leading him by 1 point nationally. So he is terrified of this. And Biden's weaknesses are Harris's strengths, which is what I think really terrifies him the most. She is polling much better than Biden was, with demographics that can swing elections, that are enthusiastic. Young people, independents who were reluctant to vote for Biden, given his age and how he was just generally appearing, but were willing to do it because they were never Trump. But now people are excited about a Harris presidency and want to vote for the candidate, not just because they are never Trump. People like myself, who've been never Trump since 2016, feel very invigorated by it. And listening to her speak, she's reinvigorating this idea of taking Donald Trump head on. And he does not like that one bit. He does not like to be challenged. This is now a party of one man's ego. He has proven that time and time again. They don't stand for anything other than being the party of Trump. They are now saying, right, that they are the party of limited government. How? They are the party that wants government to control everything from women's bodies to schools, marriage. And it's really frightening when you look at Project 2025. So Harris is taking this head on, knowing that she can win those demographics. So I really hope that when she's out on the campaign trail too and thinking about who her VP is going to be, she's looking at that electoral map map, knowing that her weakness is with the mail vote, and then hopefully, from there, figure out those swing states. Someone like Governor Shapiro, I think, would be a great selection for her for that very reason. Same thing with Governor Walz. So we'll see where she goes with that, but she's definitely brought more life to this campaign, and it's just so exciting to watch. As a former Republican, I cannot wait to vote for her.
Wow. To Ashley's point, though, that Donald Trump isn't liking this one bit, Shaniqua, you posted on social media that you'd never seen Trump be this hostile. And in a debate with Harris, he won't be able to keep his feelings suppressed. Do you think Trump's team wants to keep him off the debate stage, but also, given their decision to have him speak at the NABJ conference, do they seem to be just making strategic errors?
Yeah, I really think that, I thought back to all the conversation around Joe Biden and the debate going really bad and people saying, why did his staff have him up there for that? I think the same thing happened to Donald Trump. He seemingly made all these assumptions about what would happen on that stage. And when he wasn't able to control it, he just started lashing out. And the difference between the vice president debating him and Rachel Scott interviewing him and asking him questions, journalists have to maintain their composure and just focus on what they're doing. Vice President Harris in a debate would actually be pushing back on his lies and fighting, fire with fire. And so I don't think he would be able to handle that, and he would crumble under pressure. And I think that's why we're seeing him run away from the debate. Ultimately, he's a coward. And it's really interesting now. He's used this strongman persona to tell voters why they should trust him. And he would, stand up for them and be their attack dog. But I think we're seeing now that he can't demonstrate that because he's not even willing to debate the vice president.
Ashley, you were rattling off the different candidates under consideration and what their strengths are. Her meetings today with some of the top picks, it's being described as a chemistry test. How does she make this final decision?
I think she really just needs to take the electoral map into consideration. The polling is showing that she's, again, has a significant lead, it appears, more so than Biden did, with cohorts such as independents, so those former Republicans as well are part of that mix, suburban women, and minorities and young people. So those are demographics that are going to be enthusiastic and are going to turn out the vote. And you can hear them chanting, at the rallies. But again, that mail vote is really where she lacks. I think it's 54% Trump to 45% Harris. So she's really, going to have to make some strides there to really push her over the edge, especially in those battleground states. So I think the selection, will be a smart one from the campaign. So far, all signs are pointing to their thinking very strategically about this pick, which is why it hasn't been rushed. Right now they're just showcasing the momentum for this campaign, and I think that will continue even past who her selection is. But, I think with the Republicans for Harris launch and everything as well, it may signal that they're looking for somebody a bit moderate, someone who progressives may not be all that thrilled about, but will be able to tolerate because there'll be Harris at the top of the ticket.
I'm curious your thoughts on all this, the choosing of the vice president, Shaniqua, because you can look at the statistics, you can look at polls, you can look at what you think they bring to the selection. Chemistry is important as well, but here's the bottom line. You got to win first before you look at developing policy and doing that together. So where do you think this stands?
Yeah, she's had a lot less time than any other presidential candidate to make this decision. So I think she's really taking this time to find out as much as she can. And, as you said, test the chemistry with these candidates. But ultimately, it will come down to, I think how these people can engage with voters on the campaign trail. And the three candidates have all won statewide office. So I think she has, a tough decision, but good choices to choose between, and she'll do that seemingly by tomorrow.
Okay, I guess it's a good challenge to have then. Ashley, Shaniqua, it's good to see you both.